Hey guys, the show will begin after some introduction music from Gambler Huggins, God's Guts and Guns, and then Truth Vibrations, Slave. Let's get into it, guys.
We got a left-wing communist infection, wide open border with no protection. Main Street media cover-up connection, lying to the people and stealing their election. If it weren't for the NRA, wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. We need a not-so-subtle truth injection. When they call it revolution, call it insurrection. I'll give that one a big kiss my ass rejection. It'll never pass the test on lie detection. If it weren't for the NRA, there wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. Lay it all down on the line for truth and liberty. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. They turned the DOJ into a weapon and pointed it straight at the opposition. They took all the patriots and threw them in jail. They can thugs out of prison without any bail. If it weren't for the NRA, there wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns to keep America free. We gotta stop right now and look and see what the left wing has done to our country. And the only thing to stop them is just you and me. But are we the people guaranteed? From the Minuteman to the Marines and every fighting soldier in between, it's God's guts and guns that keep America free. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. Lay it all down on the line for truth and liberty. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. We gotta stop giving money to countries that hate us. Flip bird to the United Nations. We got blue collar over taxation frustration. And I'm giving all work to miss reparation. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. Cause it's God's guts and guns to make America free. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
And impart this knowledge to them and find out that they just have walls built in front of them. They want to be slaves.
I ain't never gonna be a slave. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never play their games. I will never be their slave. I will never wear them chains. I will never be afraid. They gon' have to put me in the grave, cause I ain't never gonna be no slave. Yeah, I will never be afraid. Bill Cooper probably rolling in his grave. I look around and all I see is mind slaves, blindfold on their brain with a muzzle on their face. Yeah, and I will never back down. There's no timeline where that ever goes down. Before I take that vaccine, you'll be hearing that sound. Best believe before that happens, I'll be clapping out rounds. Yeah, fuck the new world order. They lead lambs to the slaughter. Poison in the food, air in the water. So I fight for the future of my daughter's sake, and hope that it make a difference. Either way, I'm with it, God is my witness. This system vicious, I will never be complicit. Fist and resistance to the finish. Talk about, I ain't never gonna be a slave. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never play their games. I will never be their slave. I will never wear them chains. I will never be afraid. They gon' have to put me in the grave, cause I ain't never gonna be no slave. Yeah, I will never be a slave. Chant down Babylon till I'm in the grave. Yeah, I will never be afraid. Spit my last breath in the enemy's face. Stand tall against the wicked. Spiritual warfare, that's how we living. You sleepwalking, you don't even know the difference. The fluoride in your water got you tripping, and I can see it in your vision. You brainwashed by the television. Their propaganda got you under a spell. Living in a mental prison ain't no different from a cell. I'm God body, I'm a vessel for the essence. You can count your money, I'll be counting all my blessings. My head high till I take my last breath in. Fist in the sky till I exit. Talk about, I will never be a slave. I will never be a slave, no way. Never comply, never obey. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never be a slave. I will never be a slave, no way. Never comply, never obey. I ain't never gonna be a slave.
Sheeple is what they are. They are following the Judas goat right into the shearing pins, and from there they will go to the slaughter, and they will not know that anything is wrong until they smell the blood of the sheeple in front of them.
This clip is from Breezy Politics. After this, we'll get right into the show.
They lied. Okay. They said
Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
they lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
No question whatsoever.
Look, bottom line, there were no weapons of mass destruction. They said there are weapons of mass destruction.
If you take out Saddam, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Going into Iraq may have been the worst decision anybody has made, any president has made in the history of this country. That's how bad it is, okay?
We should have never been in Iraq.
I guarantee you, no question whatsoever.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mansplaining Mike Show, where wokeness comes to die. I'm your host, Mansplaining Mike. Guys, this episode is probably going to get me in a whole lot of trouble, but we're going to take a look at whether we think schizophrenia is really just some disease, or is it a mind control project, guys? And I think the answer we'll get to might surprise a lot of you. I mean, just saying it sounds crazy to me. I know there's a ton of liberals who are going to say this guy must be insane and try to discredit everything I say. But guys, it's not me talking. I just want to take a look at the evidence and see what we think. Anyway, guys, let's get into it. And at the end of this, I'll show you exactly where you can go see this video for yourself. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. Well, without any further ado, let's get into it, guys, and see what we think.
The Valley say they are hearing voices in their heads. And those voices are being transmitted by microwave or other methods.
Well, several viewers asked us to investigate what they call electronic harassment. KMIR 6's Angela Monroe joins us now with what she's discovered. Angela.
Electronic harassment, synthetic telepathy, voice-to-skull technology. Chances are you haven't heard of these terms. But after searching the internet, I found dozens of websites dedicated to the phenomenon and several Valley residents who say they're victims.
How much more can you invade me than to go into my brain?
It sounds.
Who else wants to do that? I think Elon Musk wants to put chips in people's brains. Do you think maybe we shouldn't trust him? I'm America first. I love MAGA. I love the movement. You can see I love Donald Trump by that cloud up there. All I'm saying is, I don't think Elon Musk should be trusted enough to put chips in anybody's brain. You shouldn't want anybody to mess with what God gave you. He did a great job. Trust me.
Like somebody else is reading the book, only it's thoughts.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
These men all live in the area, didn't know each other before the voices started, and say someone is playing mind games with them.
Mostly it's a lot of derogatory comments about whatever you're thinking about.
Only time I ever had a whole sentence, he said, "This is not about you."
That means they're monitoring your thoughts. If they're talking to you and putting thoughts in your head about the things that you're actually thinking about, think about how scary that is. The government knows your thoughts at times. At least these people's thoughts. Is it from vaccines? How did they get these things into their body? What kind of chemicals did they have to implant in them to make them susceptible to this? Or is everybody susceptible to it? Could this happen to you one day? I mean, let's continue on and see what you think, guys.
Which just frosted me. If it's not about me, what the hell am I going through all this for?
Kevin Bond says he used to have a normal life.
I was living in the San Diego area, was clerking for a federal judge, and I noticed that I was being followed by a whole bunch of people.
According to the websites, what Bond is describing is called gang stalking. He moved to Palm Springs to escape.
I started hearing, as you'll hear, hearing voices and what they'll call voice to skull or microwave hearing.
Bob Stansfield says his experience was similar and started a decade ago.
They were active in following me around here, and I started hearing the voices a little bit after the vehicular stalking.
Randall Ringer says the voices started when he was undergoing chemotherapy.
The first thing that was said was, "Randall Ringer." And I sat up straight and I went...
Well, chemotherapy is definitely a chemical they're introducing to your body. Do you think that could be something that had to do with it, with him? I mean, I'm not sure if everybody who's hearing voices in this film had cancer. I really doubt it. But could that be a possibility, that it's in our medicine, the things that allow them to control our thoughts or implant voices? Allegedly. I'm not saying it's true or it's not true. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just showing you evidence.
Into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror. Looked myself in the eyes, and I said, did that really happen?
Bond says he's found more than 300 victims locally and is tracking others across the state through billboards. In Johnson Valley, a Freedom House just opened to help people who believe they are being targeted.
To many of you who find yourselves the object of covert harassment, that there is hope and that you are not alone, and that we are striving to find legislation and we're working towards freedom for all.
Derek Robinson leads a national group called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. He says he knows who's playing mind games.
Voice to skull technology. This is also in the foray of directed energy weapons.
What is that?
The ability to, let's just say, throw your voice into your head.
Now let me put this chip in your brain.
Or my voice into my head. Or allowing algorithms that now they can blanket a whole geographical area and they can make everybody change their thoughts. They can, I use the term intrusive thoughts. Back to that fork in the road analogy. If you find yourself where you have to make a decision about something, next thing you know, you catch yourself kind of having an argument in your head with your own voices. Well, the ability to add another one of your voices in there, but have it controlled by somebody else's microphone, so to say, is a very powerful tool. And I think this is a weapon of war that we are seeing happen to everyone around us. The Department of Defense recently started initiating protocols for their employees, their agents, to discuss Havana syndrome-like symptoms. And on that list is that their agents are hearing voices in their head.
B2K. Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using the radio frequency hearing effect. Now we're getting into transmitting voices directly into people's heads. A modulation process with a fully suppressed carrier and input processor filtering to produce an encoded output. For amplitude modulation and audio speech processor filtering, intelligible subjective sound is produced when the encoded signal is demodulated using the RF hearing effect. So again, they've got diagrams here explaining exactly how this can be done. We're talking about putting speech through various frequencies being decoded by the human brain as an actual voice.
There's nothing crazy about it, even if...
So can you expand on that exactly?
Well, like telepathy.
Yeah.
You know, the thing with mind control is very bad because they call it synthetic telepathy. They can induce thoughts in you. They can induce voices in you.
Induce thoughts like maybe you're the opposite sex or something like that? Is that why these kids are running around here confused, trying to chop off their genitals? Imagine that accompanied with teacher influence who wants you to go ahead and just mutilate yourself. As a child, if you were hearing voices that were telling you you're the opposite sex, and then you had teachers influencing you to mutilate yourself and the government telling you that's okay and it's acceptable, do you think you would fall for it? I just wonder if that's a possibility that some of those people might be going through that.
Your head, and of course voices in your head that you're crazy, you know. They can do that, and they have done that from, at least officially, from the Iraqi First War. They gave orders to soldiers straight into their head. Of course, they were guinea pigs.
American soldiers?
American, yeah, right. And if this technology...
Did they use it on the enemy as well?
Yes, in a way, because I always remember I was so shocked when I saw a picture when soldiers came from bunkers, Iraqi soldiers. They had bunkers and about 3-yard walls, you know. They had drinks and food for 6 months. Americans had sent helicopters above, and they had Arabic-speaking interpreters who spoke Arabic to them, and they were sending, with microwaves, orders to come out. They were being mind-controlled. And all of a sudden, all the guys came out. With no reason at all. Nobody attacked physically. It was just done with mind control. Then they have the...
What else could they influence young minds to do? Shoot up schools, maybe? Other types of deviant behavior? What else could they be convincing our kids to do if our kids are hearing these voices? And what if they're not aware they're hearing the voices and the voices are coming at night? Could that have an effect on their brains? Could it have an effect on yours? I'm not sure, guys. One thing I am sure of, I'm not happy that the government is trying to implant voices in our brains. That's not cool at all. Anyway, let's keep going, guys, and see what else we think.
Neurophone of Patrick Flanagan to make the target hear voices via laser, via microwaves, radiation, wave direction of sound that's being converted to electrical impulse to go straight to the target's brain. So, you know, hearing voices is not a sign of mental illness necessarily. You have to consider that it can be a military technology. And this is the greatest, I would say, insult to medical doctors that we are not taught this. No medical doctors generally know.
The illegal use of directional energy weapons on civilians such as myself causes a great deal of psychological issues. Remote neural monitoring technology, V2K, and EMP are being used to cause mass destruction across the globe. And because not enough people are aware of this and how exactly it works, I'll explain based on my experience. Targets are being violated in every sense of the word by the ones who have their brain linked to a brain-computer interface. Once linked, the monitors can see everything.
Now hurry up and chip your brain, guys. Elon Musk wants it. He says it'll make you a superhuman. Will it? Or would it just make you a schizophrenic? Or would it make you whatever he wanted you to be instead of what God wanted you to be? Guys, I think it's time that people start putting their faith in God instead of corporations. That's all I'm saying.
The target sees, read every thought the target has, emotion, so on and so forth. They will degrade, harass, kill targets for the use of this V2K EMP mind control technology. They will lie to you, deceive you, and try to confuse you as much as possible every single day. They are there when you shower and go to the bathroom. They are there for your most intimate moments. You will have absolutely no privacy. They will communicate with you via synthetic telepathy at all times, and every comment they make will be perverse and only to degrade you. There is no known way to disconnect oneself from this technology or even detect it. Therefore, targets have no other choice but to deal with a constant barrage of harassment, which will have a severely detrimental impact on the target's thought processes and psyche. The ones behind this operation will threaten the target's lives, their families' lives, and their friends' lives if they consider speaking out about what's happening to them. Because it's very hard to confide in someone that doesn't have an understanding of what it's like to be a targeted individual, most remain silent. Medical professionals are unaware of how this works, lawyers, etc. Therefore, those dealing with this are being misdiagnosed with mental illnesses such as schizophrenia or psychosis. Unless you'd like this to happen to yourself, your child, or a loved one, I would strongly suggest understanding the reality of this illegal operation and make as many people as possible aware of it.
Let me go down the list of...
Before we get too far into this documentary, towards the end, there's a part of it where a guy seems to be giving medical advice. I'm not telling you to believe the guy or disbelieve him. He allegedly knows what he's talking about. Now, I don't think without seeking some advice from a doctor, you should do the things he's saying. Always consult with the doctor first, because I don't want to get sued or something like that in the future, guys, because the censorship that's going on is absolutely crazy. Hopefully it'll come to an end because of Donald Trump, but let's keep going, guys, and see what we think.
Some of these that I came up with. We've got DARPA has a sonic projector that was reported on in 2007. But of course, it had been around for quite some time before then. Army has something they call voice to skull. We got the Air Force using microwaves to create sounds at Brooks Air Force Base. We've got the Marine Corps with their Medusa project. We've got the State Department, as reported by the Washington Post in 2005, working on voices implanted in people's heads. We've got a couple of companies, one that has patented something called hypersound. That's American Technologies. Has also got Holosonic Research Labs, also has a patented version. So the military-industrial complex has been all over this. When you see something this wide, this is not just one little research project from one organization.
So nobody else around you can hear, but just the one person being beamed can hear the sound. And the university were told that this would aid the deaf enormously, because people could talk into a device and they would just hear it straight through. It was also picked up by the superstore manufacturers, who said, well, we can also use this for good, because it didn't take people very long, especially the military and other superstores, to think, well, hang on, we can use this for our own devices. So the military can now put voices into people's heads to do whatever deed they wish it to achieve.
I am a targeted individual of weaponized frequencies, and this is how I stop them. But this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a hat, you're going to need a TENS unit, you're going to need some blankets. These blankets are aluminum infused, and this one is a copper infused one. Cut a circle out of it, stick it inside of your hat. Take a pad, and your TENS unit pad right here. This is active. Here's a positive one right here. Here's another positive one. Put the negatives on the other side. Make sure that it's all touching the same metal. Throw your TENS unit inside of your hat, just like that. I put on another hat for comfort. It completely blocks the V2K microwave auditory effect and the remote neural monitoring. And it cuts down the tinnitus extremely. So here, take a good look at it. Put the pads over here, negative, positive, hook it up, turn it up all the way. Put this on there for comfort, and it works fantastic.
Well, guys, before you try that, I would definitely talk to some type of medical professional first. I mean, don't take advice from me or anybody you see on Rumble that's not a licensed doctor or whatever, because I don't want to get sued. Again, I'm not saying the guy is wrong. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just telling you I don't want to get sued. Anyway, guys, this was the Mansplaining Mike Show, where wokeness, it comes to die. Make sure to share, comment, and subscribe. And when you share it, make sure to share it with some sissy liberal too. I mean, we all love the liberal tears around here, and I'm sure a video like this might make them cry for, well, the rest of their lives or something like that, guys. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out.